live from New York, it's Ask This Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ask an Engineer. Today it's got me, Lady Ada, the engineer, and with me is Mr. Lady Ada, who I have given my heart to.
Yeah, I've been called heartless, but now I can prove on video I indeed have
You
a
have
heart.
at least one heart.
I at least have a 3D printed heart.
And we're here at the Adafruit factory in downtown Manhattan.
Look at us!
Wow!
Woo!
It's a gigantic photo of us from above.
Yeah.
That's the factory. We're here. Back there is the machinery, and there's my desk, and we do all the engineering, design, manufacturing, production, testing, everything. It happens right here in this room, and some rooms below us as well.
Yes.
So we got an exciting show for you tonight.
We do.
Lots of news, lots of new products, lots of things that you know and love, videos. What's on tonight's show?
I'm glad you asked. Tonight, the code is Valen, V-L-E-N, in honor of Valentine's Day. We did all sorts of fun things. Hope you all had a good Valentine's Day. Talk about show and tell. People around the world showing and sharing their projects. Pack the mailbags and stop by. Read some letters from you. Time travel, look back in the world of hackers, makers, artists, engineers, and more. Made in New York, some factory footage. 3D printing. Some Pi news. New products. We'll answer your question. We're going to have some top secret stuff. A trivia question, all that and more on Ask an Engineer.
Yay!
That's right. Okay, Lady Ada, let's do some things here.
Okay.
So don't forget, the code is Valen. 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time.
Including off of 3D printers and flexible filament that allow you to 3D print this heart.
Yes. And
or maybe just give a late gift for Valentine's Day.
Sure, it's never you can.
Electronics makes great Valentine's gifts.
Yes, you can never plan too early to give a gift.
Or next year.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Next up.
Or give yourself a gift. You deserve it.
Why not?
Love yourself.
Sure. Let's just dive right in. Okay, for the folks just tuning in, we just did show and tell at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and this is Ask an Engineer. We do this every Wednesday. If you're in New York and you check out before 11 a.m., we have same-day delivery in New York, and of course, $200 or more, continental U.S., legitimate, real UPS trackable shipping for free. A little note, though, there is no USPS pickup on Monday, February 20th because of federal holiday, President's Day. So if you order anything after 11 a.m. on Friday, it will not ship until Tuesday.
Okay.
For postal. Everything else is okay.
UPS, we do have a pickup.
Yep. Okay. Lady Ada, every week, 7:30, people around the world show and share something that is really special, important, interesting, something that didn't work, something that worked. It doesn't really matter. It's on the show and tell.
Yes.
Who was here this week? What'd they show?
We had a lovely people on the show and tell. We start off with Tony D, who had an exciting cat that was attacking him with her tail. But once that stopped, he shut off an arc reactor with a circuit playground running Circuit Python. It's a project that he's working on for Emerald Comic-Con. It's the Comic-Con in Seattle. He's going to be there on Saturday, so if you're there, go say hi. He's going to be dressed up as Tony Stark because he's Tony D, and so Tony makes Tony, I guess. It's
easy to remember your lines when the character is your name.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony. Yep, that's me.
That's him, yep. So check that out. So he'll probably do a stream about that on Friday. JP, John Park from Adafruit West, is working on a pretty large timer for ninja training. So it's like a ninja training course, and they need a gigantic timer with like letters that are 2 feet tall or whatever. So he's working on how to make your own gigantic 7-segment timer using neopixels and diffusing stuff. So that'll be pretty neat. And it's pretty large. Yeah. Chris Young visited. He's a longtime viewer and contributor. He has a new guide, so he talked about this new guide. We'll talk about it later. Yeah. It's for iOS.
Chris said something interesting. He said when he was recovering in the hospital, he was showing this Bluetooth thing so he could operate an iOS device. And he said the doctors and nurses are like, oh, you should patent that and make a lot of money. And he said, no, I'm going to give it away and do open source. And he said it was funny because these are caretakers that are supposed to be doing things, and he's the one that was being altruistic. So I thought that was neat. That is classic Chris Young, always helping the world. And check out the guide. And also, I know you're going to mention it a bit later, but AT Makers also does a lot of things, assistive technology, to help people use all these devices.
That was the theme.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Chris Young. So yeah, he's in good shape, and he's talking about this new guide, and he told the story about showing off this project, and we'll be having more Bluetooth devices soon that
Yeah.
we'll probably be able to recreate these kinds of projects for under $30 in parts, which is really good because normally it's like $200 or more dollars. And you can only buy whatever is available, but if you want to customize it, that will be possible as well. Carter Nelson, who's also got a new guide for us with Circuit Playground, but he's showing off some other stuff. He's on a roll. He made a 16 by 16 Conway Game of Life project. He made a custom bonnet so we could make a Raspberry Pi Zero do this Game of Life with 256 pixels.
The game of Internet of Things.
Game of Internet of Things.
Of Thrones.
He used our square pixel LED backpacks, and he made a gator tiara, which is a really cute idea. It's like a 8 alligator clip to breadboard adapter, and it looks like a tiara because it has like the wires coming out to a crown.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. So that'll be neat. Maybe we'll make something like that for the store. It's gonna be handy.
Absolutely. Until they make round breadboards, we'll have to do that.
Yeah. So Gator Tiara, check it out. Then we had Scott M, who is making a fat bike for Burning Man, next Burning Man. It's starting really early, which is very commendable. And he's making like the teensy eyeballs that Phil B had a guide for. He's basically making those and making them into headlamps. So as he bikes around, he's gonna have these eyes.
This is a cool project.
It's really cool and really spooky.
I think that we'll probably end up seeing, because bicycles are now getting so much technology. I think we're going to see more and more people doing things like having their bike seem alive, like with these eyes, and then eventually maybe it'll have AI, and you'll have to your bike will get sad if you don't ride it often. It'll be like, hey.
You can do a lot of emotion with just eyes.
Yeah.
I was looking at this robot.
I just do eyes.
They just by doing eyebrows and eye shape, you can communicate 30 different emotional states.
Yeah, I think it was the 70s. It was Herbie, the little beetle. Maybe it'll be something like that, but with bicycles.
Yeah. All right, so he's got a cool project with this LED. He's got EL wire and these eyes. And then 2 people appeared and then disappeared. Maybe they'll come back next week. We had Bill B, who is at AT Makers, and they're assistive technology makers, and they do a lot of outreach to high schools, which is really smart because there's a lot of high school kids who have they have 3D printers. The 3D printers are sitting there, and they're like, we don't know what to make. Yeah. And
they've already printed the bright green Yoda head. So what's next?
Yeah. So a lot of this is there's tools that assistive technology. There's sensors and tools that they use for assistive technology, but maybe you need a mounting plate or a way to make it attached to a camera gimbal. It's very smart.
Yeah, so it uses these bolts.
T-nuts. Yeah. So that you can attach them easily to other things or camera connectors. Noah and Pedro really love this quarter 20 camera connectors, and we sell the nuts in the store where you can press fit them into your 3D print. And then you can mount it using a center camera tripod, which almost everything in the world has. There's camera connections.
So there's 1,500 different ones on Amazon alone.
Right, and they're all really inexpensive. You can get you can get ones. You get the ones that we have at home. We have the gooseneck ones with the clips. Those are great. So for some people, that might be the best way to connect the sensors or the joysticks that they need. So they're doing a lot of cool stuff. atmakers.org is the URL.
And also, one of the neat things is if a kid, or really anyone, has a 3D printer and it's just sitting there doing nothing, but you print something, make something useful, then you can have something to bring out of the classroom or the basement or the home, and then show people and share and say, look how useful this is. It'll get people interested. And they're also doing things with assistive technology. So thank you, Bill.
Yeah, really neat. Yeah. I always thought, we went to that first robotics event. And I like robotics as I like mechatronics, but robots, I'm not super into robots.
Yeah, I don't like fighty robots. I like robots that help.
But wouldn't it be really neat if instead of just having first there was instead of just you make a robot that gets the colored balls and puts them in the net, it was make the best wheelchair. Yeah. Make wheelchairs that help people with this particular kind of disability. The best interfaces, the best reaction, the best and then you'll do biosensing and you'll do interface design. I think that would be so much more challenging than just building another I
have a feeling that this is going to happen in our lifetime.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it'd be really cool because that's what Dean Kamen does as well, right?
Yeah, DECA is kind of what would happen after first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What else?
Well, okay. And then finished up with C. Scott, who talked about a mystery Miller capacitance. in his 2003 bandpass resonator, when he made a Eurorack version, didn't work because he went from a through hole to a surface mount chip. The capacitance of the substrate to this base emitter diode for I guess this looked like some sort of matched transistor ladder wasn't working, and then he figured it out. He solved it. Just goes to show, even changing packages of components or different date codes that can have different processes in place can change how your electronics works.
All right.
So a lot was learned.
All participants on the Show and Tell get an As Seen on the Show and Tell sticker. Email support@adafruit.com and we'll send you. And once again, just a reminder, we really love all of you who come every single week.
Well, those are our red buttons. Those are cool.
Yeah.
Wow, what a nice photo.
Yeah, that was on our Instagram.
Nice.
Instagram.com/adafruit.
It looks like chocolates at first, and you realize they're buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, C. Scott was talking about all that stuff, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I can use that for an upcoming Sparky. We've been filming a bunch of tests with Sparky, and Sparky's the Blue Smoke Monster, delivering great advice, making sure it's okay to make mistakes, and Sparky has a special message for you right now.
Every successful project is 5 of me, Sparky the Blue Smoke Monsters. So, if you see me a bunch of times, you're on your way to success.
Anywho, so this is all part of our Adafruit live series of shows. You've been doing a ton of stuff. This is from Saturday. You did some servo fun. Your desk of Lady Ada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these were. I was testing some feedback servos. We took them apart. I showed how servos are made.
Yeah.
The control board and these Metal Gear servo versus plastic gear servos.
Yep.
And you can see me taking them apart and then kind of splitting the gears everywhere, and then I got them back together eventually.
Yep. And then on Saturday, you did this neat thing with Circuit Playground where it would talk.
Oh yeah, I did. Well, first off, I demoed the little 8x8 RGB matrix, and then I tested out some code that Phil B had written where he basically ported audio playback code to the SAMD processor, so the chip itself can store up to 30 seconds of audio, and you can play it back.
Sounded like a speak and spell.
So there's a Talkie library that can speak. Phonemes, and then there's also just like playing audio clips like from a WAV file. So tried those.
And then on Monday, you were on a roll. You even did more.
Oh, this was about resistive touch. So we've been talking about capacitive touch.
Fundamental.
So this was a fundamental. This was about resistive touch plates versus capacitive touch plates, and I kind of explained how resistive touch panels work and how they're similar to resistors, but with a wiper that you press through.
Yeah.
And then
so that's all on our YouTube channel, Desk of Lady Ada's. You've been doing a bunch throughout the week. Good times. And you also remind people to read the datasheet, just like Sparky does.
Alright, you got 2 choices. You can see me or read the datasheet.
It was jam-packed.
Yeah. Watch Tony's desk. This was the frame buffer desk of Tony D.
Yep.
That he did, and that uses MicroPython. And then later on in the week, you can watch this neat time lapse that Tony did building his arc reactor that he's going to be debuting at the Seattle Comic-Con. So check that out. And then Tony has
I like the speed coding.
Yeah, he has another one coming up later on this week. So that's all on our YouTube channel and other places.
Yeah.
On Twitch.
Look at these videos.
Yeah. Speaking of,
Squish, squish.
it is time, Lady Ada.
Oh, yeah.
We have another Collins Lab.
Yay!
This one is a powerful one. It's so powerful. You ate batteries. Take it away, Colin.
We've gone over the history and basics of each battery type. Now, how about some general tips for battery usage?
Sounds like a great idea. And you're in luck, because I've stored up a whole bunch of batteries to talk about.
How convenient. Lady Ada, you know a few things about batteries. How about we start with lithium ion, like the one powering my Pi girl here?
Absolutely. Lithium-ion and polymer batteries have the same chemistry, but they have different physical characteristics. Lithium-ion batteries, for example, tend to come in cylindrical shapes and they can be packed into multiple cells. The lithium polymer batteries come in these silver packets and they can come in a wide variety of shapes and sizes. Because lithium polymer batteries are so delicate, you have to make sure not to overvolt them, undervolt them, or draw too much current. Make sure that each of your polymer cells has a protection circuit. You can see the circuit here. It's under the yellow translucent tape. Lithium polymer and ion batteries require specialized chargers, so make sure that when you're charging your battery, you're using a charger designed specifically for lithium polymer ion batteries. Our micro-LiPo line is really easy to use because you can just charge a battery off of a USB port. But you can also use one of our solar chargers and power your batteries from the sun. Another small thing to watch out for, make sure that your lithium-ion batteries are 3.7 voltage type. Some older batteries are 3.6 volt type and they're not compatible. You can tell which voltage battery you have by looking for the text. It'll always be labeled, even if it's really small. It's not a good idea to mix and match lithium-ion or polymer batteries, even if they're the same size and chemistry. So if your project has a lot of batteries, make sure to charge each one individually. When powering your project with lithium-ion or polymer batteries, you have two ways of going about it. You can use a 3.3 volt load dropout regulator if your device is 3.3 volt logic and power, like this Feather Huzzah. If your device requires 5 volt power, you might need to boost the power up, like with this Power Boost. This will convert the 3.7 volts from this battery to 5 volts USB. Lithium-ion batteries come in a hard shell case, so they're pretty durable. But lithium polymer batteries, to save size and space, come in these soft silver pouches, so they're quite delicate. So make sure not to fold, bend, spindle, or mutilate these batteries. For safety, a lot of consumer products will put their lithium polymer batteries inside of a hard case like this. For example, for use in a flying drone.
Wow, those are lightweight.
And one last thing I wanted to cover on lithium-ion batteries is the ubiquitous USB battery pack. These are pretty handy because they come with a lithium-ion battery, a charger, and a boost converter. Makes it really easy to make portable USB devices.
Which means I can finally have a portable plasma globe.
Oh, finally.
Finally. Okay, so lithium is fragile, pricier, good for advanced users. A more basic option would be alkaline.
Yeah, you could use alkalines or nickel metal hydrides.
Nickel metal hydride. Yeah, just
And you're in luck, because I brought a whole bunch of them with me as well. The most common sizes for alkaline and nickel metal hydride batteries range from a small AAA battery to this big honking D cell. Finally, we've got the odd one out, the 9-volt cell. This one has a nominal voltage of 9 volts, but the capacity is only 500 milliamp hours. One thing to watch out for is with alkaline batteries, the voltage starts at about 1.6 volts and ends at about 1.2, whereas with nickel metal hydride batteries, they start at 1.3 volts and end at about 1.0. Now, doesn't sound like a big difference, but when you put a lot of cells in series, that can add up to quite a big voltage difference. And speaking of series, because alkaline and nickel metal hydride batteries are about 1.5 volt nominal, you can add them together in series to create higher voltage battery packs. Like this 3 AAA battery pack, which will give you a nominal voltage of 4.5 volts. Or this 4 times AA battery pack holder, which will give you a nominal voltage of about 6 volts. In fact, that's how a 9-volt battery is made. If you opened one up, you'd find 6 little alkaline cells all in series.
so alkaline and nickel metal hydride, both durable, affordable, and readily available.
Yeah, and I think we covered them pretty well.
Hey, how much does a dead battery cost?
How much, Colin?
Nothing. It's free of charge.
Okay.
Moving on. Tell me what you know about coin cells.
Okay. Coin cells are silver, round, and pretty skinny, just like coins. Now, they come in multiple different chemistries, but they tend not to be rechargeable, so single use only. And the trade-off for their very small size is they can't give you a lot of current. So not good for high power electronics, really good for very low power devices. Coin, or button cell batteries as they're sometimes called, all have about the same shape, but they come in different sizes depending on their usage. Now, they also come in multiple chemistries, from lithium cells that are about 3 volts to alkaline zinc air or silver oxide, which are about 1.5 volts. So make sure to check the packaging for the right size you need. Because of the coin cell's small and slippery shape, you're going to need a specialized holder to use these kinds of batteries. We have a wide variety, from a breadboard-friendly coin holder with an on-off switch to sewable ones that you can use for wearables with conductive thread. We even have this really nice double cell holder that gives you a 6-volt output, comes with a JST connector and a nice on-off switch. Coin cells are ideal for portable and low-power electronic projects, like sewable wearable electronics, small development boards like this Adafruit Gemma, RF remotes. This one runs off of 2 coin cells. You can even use it to power a multimeter, like this one. Another handy trick you can do with coin cells is they make for really good LED testers.
So how does one know if they can use coin cells to power their project?
Really good question. You want to check out our multimeter video and use your multimeter in current measurement mode to make sure that the current draw of your project is less than 10 or 20 milliamps.
Quick, heads or tails?
Heads.
Which side is heads?
Positive side?
Negative has more electrons.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. All right. Well, we definitely covered a lot of ground here, hopefully dispelling some of the mysteries of portable power for people out there. Thank you for coming by.
Absolutely. Thanks, Colin. I hope I have granted you great power over batteries.
I do feel a little bit different.
Okay, cool. So can you do all the cleanup here? Thank you.
I didn't say yes, actually.
And that was another Collins up. Next up.
Powerful.
Yeah. Back at the mailbag. We read these emails every week in our all-company meeting called State of the Fruit. We also send notes to everybody if
Yeah.
I can't make it. But we also read them to you. And this is from Virgil. I love Adafruit. The Adafruit team has changed my life for the better. I get ideas and help and education in addition to the great products. Show and tell is wonderful. The first time I saw, I knew I needed to make something that I could show. Now I've been on twice with plans for my next visit. My 5-year-old granddaughter is coming this weekend and has told me she wants to watch Adabot videos, as she calls the Circuit Playground series. She'll probably bring the Cappy the capacitor toy I bought her and the candle flicker hair bow I made her using Becky's tutorial. Thanks again, Virgil. Thank you, Virgil. Okay.
Nice.
Time travel. I look back in the world of makers, hackers, artists, engineers, a kinder, simpler time, a very different time. Do you know, Lady Ada, that
No.
4 years ago, you interviewed the president at the time? It was President Obama.
Yeah.
That was 4 years ago. And you
Those
were...
are my eyebrows. I'm like, see, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and you talked to the president at the time about patent reform. You talked about computer science education. I think you suggested, wouldn't it be great, in addition to like maybe a mandatory spoken language?
yeah.
You know, you have to take Spanish, French, whatever. Maybe a programming language.
As well, yeah.
And then you also asked, hey, is your daughter's going to consider doing engineering? And maybe at the end I'll replay it. Boy, times have changed. But for us, the thing that changed the most is if you look in the background of that video, we have this little tiny pick and place. It was from our apartment.
Yeah.
We got through the door, and if you look, we were still using a toaster oven.
Yeah. It was a pretty nice toaster oven.
Yeah, it was nice.
Black & Decker.
It was a Black & Decker IR. Yeah, we have the...
Those things are amazing. If you
Yeah.
can get a hold of one, they're
You
great
can't.
for reflow.
They're gone. I've tried to find them again. We have the spare that we've never used for electronics, and we still use it at home. I toasted your bagel this morning
It
with
was
it.
delicious.
Yeah.
It's a great home and reflow oven, but yeah, they don't
Yeah.
make them.
Yeah.
IR ovens are the best. We can get an IR oven, way better.
Yeah.
Not as nice as convection, but
So,
they're pretty nice.
Anyways, it was a different time 4 years ago. Okay. All this month on Adafruit.com, facebook.com/blog, we have African American History Month. And I got to do a shout out to New Relic. They have this awesome infographic that has 7 African American computer scientists and more. And they also included one of my heroes, John Henry Thomas, the inventor of Lingo programming language.
Yeah.
It's the only other time I've
You
seen
meant
him.
which was last week
Yeah.
we talked about.
Yeah, so check it out. Go New Relic. We use their
New Relic.
their service, and it was neat to get that in a newsletter. So okay, open source hardware. We are an open source hardware company, Lady Ada. To prove it, we have a lot of tutorials.
We do. We had
So-
some great tutorials this week.
Yeah, what do you got in the tutorial
Okay, can you expand the
in
tutorials?
the tutorial box?
Okay, so this week we got that camera LED ring light. That was last week's 3D printed project. This week's new project is we have one from Carter Nelson, the Circuit Playground Analog Input, which is a really great tutorial. It talks about how to use how to get analog inputs, how they work, what they are, and then using a potentiometer to read them, and then how to use the Arduino built-in graphing function to graph the output of the potentiometer, and then talk about some sensors that you can read analog signals from. We have a guide from Chris Young. I mentioned that earlier. This is really neat. Maybe we'll make a kit later that's like a solder-free kit so people can build this themselves. It's how to use Bluefruit or BLE module-based feathers to make switches so that people can interact with iOS. iOS has this ability to turn on Bluetooth-controlled screen navigation. So there's some people who can't touch the screen, like they don't have the motor function, or they can't hold their hand steady. And so what you can do is use switches to scan through the icons and allow you to basically click on the screen using switches, which might be a lot easier for people to use. So he shows the switches that he made. He made a 3D printed switch holder for micro switches, and he talks about all the different kinds of switches we stock in the shop, from the gigantic buttons that you can press with an entire limb, to little micro switches that if you have one finger that you can control, you can select which switch. And then by using cording or different switch press lengths, you can navigate the iOS system. He says it works quite well.
Yeah. We didn't set out to be an assistive technology company, but it found us, just like lots of other things, cosplay and wearables. So this is really neat. I think this is one of the neatest trends that I haven't seen written about yet.
This is one of the things I love about HID.
Yeah.
HID is like a great protocol. I'm really glad that iOS added Bluetooth Low Energy HID because it is so awesome to be able to interact with stuff using like foot switches or
it's super cool.
Yeah, it's really neat that you can use this wirelessly as well, because historically you would have like a mouse interface, but it's always this there's this cable and you have to connect it and it gets loose.
And here's the thing,
you just tether.
So Apple, it's all turning into iOS, but they don't really explain how all this stuff works. It's in there, but they don't explain how it works. So we have this guide now.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So that's the tutorials.
And then we have similarly we have a Bluetooth LE MIDI controller. So BLE can do data, HID, and MIDI. MIDI works really well as well, and again, it works with iOS devices, Macs, and some other computers, anything that has native Bluetooth Low Energy. So they made a drum machine with these really beautiful capacitive touchpads that are machined. We'll show the video, but you can use Bluetooth LE as a MIDI device as well, and it shows up as a native MIDI device. So you can use it with like Tracker or like GarageBand or Max MSP, whatever you already have. It can now be wireless.
Okay, so we have 1,161 tutorials. And this is part of our open source efforts. And we also have our Adafruit Daily newsletter that you can subscribe to 3D printing, wearables, MicroPython, Maker Business. And this week, and it's at adafruitdaily.com, this week, this is a little bit of time travel for me.
Okay.
So 11 years ago, I was senior editor at Make Magazine.
I didn't even know you. Did I know you 11 years ago?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
I think we knew of each other.
Yeah, maybe.
And every Friday, I would get an email from Nate at SparkFun, and it would have like a new product. And I actually was able to screenshot. Now, what's weird is...
that is 11 years ago.
That is 11 years ago. So April 7th, 2006, Nate sent me over a note. They had a tricolor matrix at SparkFun. And
it looks like a little
an accelerometer.
stick.
Yeah, and so the make site changed. They stopped calling them blog posts, now they're stories. And the Wayback Machine doesn't work on some sites with the robot text thing. So anyways,
I love this because it's like the all-new ADXL 3300 is now like an ancient chip
Yeah.
that nobody uses.
So what was going on 11 years ago in the maker world was SparkFun was releasing these breakout boards like every week.
There was the only place to get them.
And it really made us all say, wow, like DIY electronics is now getting accessible.
There's also a really revolutionary idea to take a chip and put on a breakout board. Like this,
Yeah.
you could buy breakout board, like there were raw breakout boards that you would have to solder
Yeah.
the chip onto. But
Or
to
a
get it
$200
on-
dev board.
Yeah, there was really that or the $200 valve.
Now, what's interesting is I've been following the SparkFun story for the last, 12 years. And 2 summers ago, Nate stepped down from being the CEO, and now he's just doing engineering. And on my RSS feed, I saw SparkX. And SparkX is Nate and I think one other person that isn't part of the regular SparkFun product development. And they're making breakout boards. And he had product 0. And so I saw this, and I'm just like, wow. So this is one of their first designs. It's SparkX.
It's like QFN magnetometer
Yeah,
thing.
and it was hand soldered. And I ordered it, and I got it next day, air shipped,
And you got it.
and it arrived. And so,
It even says SparkX on it.
yeah, and I wrote a little article. I tweeted about it, and SparkFun said, "This dear Adafruit, our boards are red, your boards are blue. Thanks for the SparkX shout out. We're sending some product 0 to you." So here is one of the first ones of this new effort. Now, what's
Yeah.
interesting is this might be, and I'll go to the.
That overhead.
Yeah. So this might be Nate getting back in the weekly product launch. It might be an internal effort because Google X and other companies, they always have a side company with inside. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies that do that. There's
Yeah.
Skunk. It's called Skunkworks or whatever. They'll have an R&D department that can usually
Yeah.
has their own. We even met some people from Bloomberg. And Bloomberg, you wouldn't think of necessarily as an engineering company. They have an engineering team where they do their own manufacturing as well
Anyways.
at a small scale. So this is it's a black PCB, so I guess you can tell it's
Yeah.
X. SparkX, and it's got, and then there's a different GitHub and a different
Yeah.
blog. It's all separate.
And what's funny is today, Hackaday, site I started, 13 years ago,
Yeah.
wrote about, they saw my post, they wrote about this, and so it's all kind of interconnected. Anyways, check it out. One to watch. I'm curious to see what happens with this internal effort. There is some caveats. There's not the same type of support, and it's a small run, and they don't guarantee
There's
it's the
no
same run.
library. There's no
Yeah.
hookup guide. Which and the thing is, this is my view. It was very interesting. So we are different. We are living in a different world now than we were.
4 years ago, there was a different
4 years
president,
ago,
and
it was-
we had a
yeah.
pick and play. We
No, but I
had
mean,
a toaster oven.
10 years ago. So
Oh.
10 years ago,
No, things have changed.
things have changed from the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Basically, if you wanted to get this stuff, there was only SparkFun you could get it from. But now, I'm actually starting to see, from China, some of the newest breakouts. They come direct from China. They're not even made by Americans or Europeans anymore, because some of the more interesting chips are Chinese fab chips.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. My view is actually kind of the opposite. Rather than trying to get something out fast, I'm like, well, my personal view of when I make designs at Adafruit is well, if you can get it for nearly free by buying it from eBay, but it's you don't know what you're getting. There's no library. My view is well, I prefer to have guides and tutorials and fritzing diagrams and all the extras, all the things that make it work and tested and a project and stuff, rather than going this direction where it's okay, well, it's going to be just a chip on a breakout board, because then it's well, what's the reason? I mean, other than having it earlier than everybody else, which is a time-based thing, and time is limited. You're eventually going to have somebody else come out with a version that does, that is cheaper because you can just buy it from eBay. So it's a different approach, but I'm very curious to see whether this approach works.
Yeah.
Because I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, and what's funny, from my point of view, is I can't stop being me. I like writing about the maker world. Sometimes I don't get to because I'm helping you run a maker company, but I wanted to write about what SparkFun is doing now. This SparkX thing, new CEO, different engineering group within an engineering group. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll do A to X.
Yeah, it's one of the things I think about. What is there? I mean, there's no what is there more demand? You can't really know. But do people want more basic things, or do they want more advanced
and
things?
do they need service and support? Do they want to buy it from Tindy? Do they want, as someone said in the chat, eBay, a surprise in every bubble pack? You know, like, what
Yeah.
do you want? So anyways, check it out. You can tune
We shall
into
see.
you can tune into the maker business that we do.
Personally,
almost
I'm
every day.
learning about a lot of exciting chips.
Yeah. So speaking of made in New York, we have some made in the Adafruit factory footage. This is Kathy testing.
Some TFT feather wings.
That's right. And then, you know, if you wanted to see the circular view, we have these fun little cameras when we film.
Is that like a GoPro? What is it?
It's one of the spherical cameras for 360.
Oh.
And then, of course, you know, we have some machine footage.
Go machine. Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the same feather wings, but earlier.
Yeah.
Go, 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 go. Into the oven.
Yep. And then here's a workstation where you're going, it's the
Go, go, go.
go in the oven there.
I think
So,
this,
anyways.
NFC feathers. Or
Yeah,
something.
and then right before the show, I used a one of those gimbals to run around and chase you in the factory. So that's on our YouTube channel right now.
Okay.
That's kind of neat. And I like doing it because I can put the little emojis. I can put the little Statue of Liberty and a heart and a robot.
You can see the Statue of Liberty almost from here.
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 3D printing.
Empire State Building. Is there any Empire State Building sticker?
Not yet.
Yeah, it should be.
Oh wait, is there emoji? I don't know. 3D printing. No page. We're printing up a storm. Here is the BLE MIDI.
Hey, what's up guys? In this week's project, I'm going to show you how I built this MIDI controller. It uses a capacitive touch sensor and NeoPixel LEDs to make a portable drum machine. When you tap on one of the 6 pads, it plays a MIDI note. It also features a step sequencer so you can record and play back a pattern. Here's how the circuit works. We'll connect the capacitive touch sensor to the Adafruit Feather. We'll also connect the NeoPixel ring. This slide switch will power the circuit on and off. The NeoPixel LEDs animate in sequence to the beat of a given tempo. Whenever the capacitive sensor detects touch, it'll tell the Feather to send MIDI notes. This module can actually transmit those MIDI notes over Bluetooth Low Energy. This means we can control a number of software instruments and MIDI devices over Bluetooth. So you can totally reuse this circuit to make your own project. The code used in this project was written by Todd Treese. His example sketch is bundled with the 15-step Arduino library. It's easy to modify the code so you can add more pads or change up the MIDI notes and tempo. To house the electronics, I designed an enclosure and modeled each component using Fusion 360. I 3D printed the 2-piece enclosure using Coffee PLA filament on the FlashForge Creator Pro. But you don't need to own a 3D printer to make this project, you could try using a 3D printing service. I'll have the files available for free to download and modify. The parts printed nicely on a Print-N-Z skin without a heated bed. I used the OtherMill Pro desktop CNC to machine the parts out of aluminum. If you want to see the full process on how I did this, you can check out my Milling Monday video. I was able to machine the 6 pads from a piece of 1/8 inch stock aluminum. Once all of the pieces were cleaned and polished, I did a quick test fit by installing them into the cover. To build this project, I used a 16 NeoPixel ring, an MPR 121 capacitive touch sensor, an Adafruit Feather 32U4 Bluefruit LE, a slide switch, and LiPo battery. You can get the full list of parts from my tutorial linked below. I like to start every project by wiring up the slide switch. We'll need 2 pieces of wire to connect it to the Adafruit Feather. I tin the wires and then solder them to the pins on the slide switch. But before I can connect it to the Feather, I'll extend the voltage and ground pins with pieces of flexible PCB. I found them to be a bit tricky to handle, so I secured these tweezers to a pair of helping third hands. This way I can keep it steady while I tin the pins with solder. Now I can connect them to the voltage and ground pins on the Adafruit Feather. Once they're soldered in place, I can wire the slide switch to the ground and enable pin. Next, I can plug in the LiPo battery and test out the slide switch. I used the enclosure to measure the lengths of wire I'll need to connect the cap sensor to the Adafruit Feather. Then I can match up another wire and cut it down to size. I like to secure multiple wires to third helping hands so I can easily tin them one after the other. A piece of heat shrink tubing will keep wires together, and this just makes connections nice and tidy. Now I can secure the capacitive touch sensor and solder in the wires. Next, I'll connect it to the Adafruit Feather. The flexible PCB made it easy to wire in voltage and ground. I'll need 3 wires to connect the NeoPixel ring to the Adafruit Feather. I tinned them with solder and wired them into power, ground, and data in. Now I can wire them into the Adafruit Feather. I used pieces of copper foil tape to connect the aluminum touchpads to some wires. This stuff has an adhesive backing so I can stick them to the surface of each touchpad. Next, I'll cut up some wires using the same method like before. I tinned each piece of copper tape and soldered 1 wire per pad. So here's all 5 pads wired up and ready to connect to the cap sensor. I secured the capacitive touch sensor to a pan of ice and connected the 5 wires. Each touchpad will connect to one of the input pins. And that's pretty much it for the wiring. Now I can connect the battery and test out the whole circuit. These machine screws will secure the components to the enclosure. I inserted the machine screws through the bottom to tap the standoffs. I fastened them about halfway and placed the PCB over the standoffs, held it in place while I screwed them in all the way. I repeated this process for the Adafruit Feather. The switch is inserted into a little holder that snaps into place. The actuator is accessible through the other side so we can still turn it on and off. Now I can plug in the battery. The NeoPixel ring snaps into a holder on the cover. Then I installed each touchpad through the bottom of the cover and snapped them in. Once I place the battery inside the enclosure, I can lay the cover over the top and press it down until it clicks into place. And that's pretty much the whole assembly. For a full step-by-step tutorial, be sure to check out the learning guide linked below. You can also change things like tempo, pitch, and velocity on the fly using a few simple button combinations. And if you're wondering about the latency with Bluetooth, check this out. I hope this project inspires you to make your own MIDI devices. Hey, if you like this project, you can let me know by giving it a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe to the Adafruit channel for new videos every week.
You're probably saying, boy, I wish there was another video where they showed how they made some of this on the other mill.
I hope it's pangolins.
One more video, and it's a 3D printed.
Penguin?
No, but you can watch that video again. It's on
Okay.
YouTube.
Yeah, I know.
This is a hairy lion.
Oh, that's still pretty cool. Cool.
Okay, we're calling it. Chia Pet comes back and makes a 3D printer. And you print anything
Just
you want.
hairy things.
No, you print any shape you want, and then it grows the seed.
Oh, the seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do have like clay
Yeah.
filament.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So don't forget, every Wednesday we have 3D Hangouts. Noam Pedro dropping some knowledge. All right, lady. It's almost that time. Do you know what time that is?
Pie time?
What?
Pi
No, I had a little bit of Pi News, and the Pi News I'm just going to do because it's on raspberrypi.org because we got to get to new products. Really cool Raspberry Pi Zero display. Josh King made, used our power supply.
Nice.
Yeah, but before we leave for the evening, because we can't stay here all the time.
No.
Eventually the alarms go off.
Yes.
We don't live at Adafruit like we used to.
Yeah.
Adafruit lives on in the hearts, minds, and souls of everyone out there.
Yes.
We occasionally go to sleep.
Yes.
The code's Valen.
I sleep like a
Yeah.
crazy amount.
By the way, when you order something at Adafruit to save 10% off, it helps all these people. This is us. We didn't get loans or funding. We're just doing this to continue to do this as an independent company so we can do puppet shows and weird stuff and things like this. If we had investors, they would fire us.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. They would say, you have 2 kidneys, monetize one of those.
You only
You only need
give me
one.
your heart, yeah.
Okay, Lady Ada, it's time.
New, 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 new.
All right, that's good. New products this week. Okay, first up, AdaBox. They'll be shipping soon. 27 days, the next one. A little bit of a preview. If you didn't get one, sign up. Adafruit.com/AdaBox. Get one before they're gone because
This
we
person's
do.
extremely excited.
We do run out. Okay. Lady Ada. Perhaps the biggest product announcement ever. No, it's just a cable.
It's a cable. We actually got these cables by accident, but we got a couple hundred of them, so we're like, well, you know, we might as well put them in the store. They're kind of handy. It's a right angle extension cord. It's 1 meter, 3 feet. It's handy if you're ever like, this USB cord is not long enough, and maybe you don't want it to pull out of your computer jack. It's kind of nice. It's right angle, so it doesn't stick right out. I don't know, a handy little cable. So we put it in the shop. You can pick one up. Works great with any USB 2 or 1 device.
Okay. And
USB
although I'm
powered, yeah.
your biggest fan,
This is the smallest fan.
here's a small fan.
This is a very small fan. It's a.
How small is it?
It's
I can't tell.
pretty small. It's like an inch and a half.
Oh,
or
it's the
inch and a half.
size of a Raspberry Pi. So that must mean it's like less than a credit card sized.
It's pretty small.
Oh,
It's maybe like.
a quarter for scale.
Okay, so that's a quarter. So it gives you like about an inch and a quarter by an inch and a quarter. And it's a 5-volt fan. Now, we sell it for use with a Raspberry Pi 3, but you don't have to use it with a Raspberry Pi 3. You can use it with any single board computer or motor driver, whatever you need to give good airflow. But we suspect that the vast number of people will be using this with a Raspberry Pi 3. Now, as always, want to clarify, you do not need to put a heatsink or a fan on your Pi 3. It is not required.
Not needed.
No. The Raspberry Pi will automatically reduce the clock rate, the main clock rate, from like 1.2 gigahertz down to like about 1 gigahertz if it ever overheats. So it's not going to damage itself. It just might run a little bit slower. However, on the off chance that you're, doing like really hardcore emulation, or you're doing some processing tasks, or doing a lot of, video filtering or whatever that
Let's be straight up. You want to put a fan on stuff sometimes. You just want to.
or you just want to just put a fan on
Our
something.
friend Mike had
overclock it.
a fan suit.
You don't have a fan suit. This fan is for you. So what's nice
Okay.
about this fan is it's plug and play. It comes with a little connector. You plug it in, and it just powers on, and it runs, draws about 200 milliamps, and it fits nicely into a Raspberry Pi case. I have the fan over here. I can show it off for all you fans. Oh,
With Zay Frank. Hello,
It's this-
sports fans or
this-
speed racers or whatever.
Just this overhead. Okay. So yeah, you just
Sport
plug it
racers.
in to power and ground, 5-volt and ground over here. So it's powered directly from the USB port,
You know how much current it takes?
200 milliamps.
Okay.
And yeah, just a fan. And then this part is the part that doesn't move. So if you mount it like this, you can even just literally just tape it down and it'll be fine. It just gives you enough airflow.
Okay.
Again, it's not like it needs. It's not like your desktop computer, which actually does need to have a pretty serious fan and heat sink, so it doesn't like melt. This is just to give it a little bit more airflow, so you can mount it on the top of your case, or you can stick it in here somehow, or just kind of let it be. It'll probably be fine.
We'll have the liquid nitrogen Pi cooling kit next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Next up.
Oh, this is a One Shield, and this is from some makers who have been bugging me for quite a while to carry this, and now they finally have a Bluetooth
Shield.
Low Energy version. And this is an interesting shield. So there's a little Atmega on there and this Bluetooth Low Energy module. And what this does is it communicates with their iOS or Android app. And you can use your device as like kind of like a shield. It's like a mega shield where you send the data to and from your tablet or phone, again, iOS or Android, and then you can like parse the data on the Arduino compatible
Yeah.
that it's plugged into. So I got a demo, so you want to go.
Yeah. You know what's cool is like powered by Egyptian makers. This is kind of neat. We're starting to see people put where it's made, who made it, and this worldwide maker effort. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so you want to go to the overhead?
Yeah, it's with the overhead because it's kind of interesting. So this is, I have it plugged into like a normal Uno. And then, hold on, I don't need this cable anymore, so I'll just toss it down there. And then I just have a like LED plugged in, and this is it telling me it's paired because, I was using it earlier. And then I've got my iPad mini, so let me log in. Some stuff on it. One second, let me type in my password. Okay, so this is, the app, and basically you can select different capabilities. So, you can have a barcode scanner, and then like you could scan barcodes and send that to the Arduino. So basically it gives you like a lot of capabilities like face detection or fingerprint, all the things that your phone can normally do, but you communicate back and forth between your very powerful phone and your your Arduino. So like Twitter, you're not going to have voice recognition or Twitter capability on a $20 Arduino, but with this, augment, extend it. So for example, if I turn on acceleration and I shake the this, it will detect. I have it just sensing if I move the phone, and it blinks the LED. So very simple demo. But okay, it's actually better because it's a little smaller. But you can add any of these capabilities and pair it. So it's it's kind of nice because it's an augmenter. Augmented phone augmented Arduino technology. So when you add this shield, you're basically allowing you to use any of your phone's capability with your Arduino.
Okay.
Handy.
And tonight, the star of the show besides you, Lady Ada, is this Featherwing Tripler.
It's a tripler.
Wow.
It's not the most exciting thing, but it's pretty handy.
Are we going to ever have a quadrupler?
We probably will when I get off my butt and just go on.
Yeah, you've been really slacking off.
I know. Well, complacency. So this is a tripler. So you've already had a doubler and you have a proto wing. So this is, we have enough feathers and feather wings now. It makes sense to have a tripler. You can now connect a feather and 2 feather wings. And what's nice is, maybe they both have displays on them, or you want to have both of them available. You don't use stacking for some reason. This is just a very easy way to plug in all your feathers. Again, you can always stack them, but maybe you already soldered headers on. This tripler will make it so you don't need to. So you just plug it into this breakout board and you're good to go. So I have like a little mini sort of example over here.
You can make a phone.
Yeah, so you could, use the Fona
Hello?
and the Fona feather and
Feather calling.
OLED for display, and then maybe make a little button grid. So this has a Huzzah, and I have it powered off of the LiPo battery. I have an OLED, and I have a LoRa feather ring. Now this is a fake demo, I'll admit. Like it would work if I sat down and wrote code for it, but it's just a demonstration of like, okay, maybe you'd want to have packet data going from the radio here and then, to Wi-Fi. And then you would have information on the OLED telling you, what the latest packet you've received is and the signal strength, maybe the battery level. So I think like definitely having, your feather and then maybe the OLED for information like debug display and then sensing or radio or...
As someone said in the chat, this is a breakout bird. Oh!
The breakout bird.
Oh, and that fan was Breeze.
Chat's
on fire tonight. Okay.
Boards of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
As we say. So it's a tripler. It's simple. It comes as a little mini kit. You get a big prototyping area as well if you want to stick some other stuff in there. But all the pins are connected through. So, whatever this pin up here is connected through to these two. So it's you just plug and play.
All right. And that Lady Ada
simple but effective
was new product of the week. Okay, we're running a little tight on time, but we're still going to do top secret.
It's cool.
So don't forget, folks, if you want to save a buck or two, code is valid all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Save 10% off in the store. Okay, from the vault of Adafruit.
Okay, I'm getting through a lot of older products that I designed. I'm kind of trying to sit down and like crank through them.
Every day.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like I do a lot of upkeep, and then sometimes I'm like I'm going to take a pause from upkeep, and then, do.
I fall asleep seeing Eagle, and I wake up seeing Eagle.
There's a lot of Eagle CAD. I sent out a panel every single week this week, which is kind of
every day.
Every day this week.
Yeah.
I'm so tired.
I know.
But very exciting things.
So show this new thing that it's not out yet, don't ask.
There's two new things, but they're kind of a pair. So it's actually, this is from K-Town Design.
It's not out, don't ask questions about this.
It's don't ask, but it's, so we've got this NXP 9DOF, and these are the NXP magnetometer gyro and it's gyro accelerometer and magnetometer. I don't remember that basically these two chips together make a 9DOF. They're the same ones that are used in Paul Stoffrigen's Teensy sensor wing, and they're really great. So like big ups to Paul for finding these like really sweet sensors. They're extremely low noise, very, very nice. So really good for doing AHRS with. So we've got a little breakout, and then they're also low cost enough. And in my opinion, they're a little better to use than a BNO 055 if you have the processing power, because they're a little less noisy, and you can just implement the algorithm yourself. So we've got like a little sensor wing. So we've got a color light sensor, 9DOF, humidity sensor, and then barometric pressure and temperature. I like separating these out. I know there's a BME 280, but I actually like having humidity sensor separate because this comes with a filter. And I've noticed that the BME 280, if you get a little dirt in it, it stops working. So having a filter on the humidity sensor, I think, is worth it. It's about the same price to just have two chips.
Okay.
So kind of all sensing.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. Back in the vault. You secret stuff. Okay. We're going to do some rapid fire questions here. So put them up in the chat. I'll start off, and then we're going to do trivia questions. So someone wants to get started with electronics. Here's what I suggest. And they're in the Adafruit world right now.
Yeah.
Go to the Learn system, learn.adafruit.com, and start to type something you may want to build, because it'll start to find all the projects for you. Look for the project first.
Yeah.
And then you'll start to see the things that you may want to learn to make the project.
Yeah, and pick up a circuit playground.
Don't just get a capacitor and be like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, unless you're Sparky.
Yeah.
Pick up like a circuit playground. We got some really great beginner tutorials with circuit playground, and it's like you don't have to get anything else. There's one thing.
Yeah. So the Bitbanger shirt that you had, that was a one-off edition that Noah and Pedro made for you.
For
cool.
Christmas.
Okay. So on a question about LED strips, good. Post it up. Is there a microphone for sound on the sensor board? Oh, is that just not out yet?
No, there isn't. There isn't a microphone, and I'll tell you why. Actually,
Okay.
it's not out yet, but it's a good question. So I'm gonna explain why. I want the Featherwing to work with all feathers, and the ESP HC66, which is our most popular feather, doesn't have analog in really. And so I was thinking about it, but then I was like, well, if I put a microphone in, it's like it will use the only analog input, and I was like, I didn't want to do that. So this only senses like environmental stuff.
Okay, let's speed round these. Go as fast as you can. Can the force-sensitive resistors, the long strip, be cut?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, if you were willing to try to clip onto it, but really no.
Okay.
It's too difficult.
Your SI5351 breakout board is out of stock. Is there a fave clock generator IC?
That's the only one. We should have more. I don't think
Okay.
it's out of stock for long.
Okay.
Probably just ran through.
Once you write to an ink display, can you read the state of the display back in?
Usually not. Usually you buffer locally.
Okay. How do I check the Pi's IP address?
You log in and you type in sudo ifconfig.
Okay. How about a synth Featherwing?
I mean, the MP3 Featherwing is a synth, by the way, so you should just use
Okay.
that. It has MIDI synth mode, and it works really well. And it has like 200 drum machines and,
Okay.
and instruments.
Will we ever see a 2-inch diagonal OLED wing sometime?
It wouldn't really fit. It's yeah. Try the 2.4-inch TFT Featherwing. That's kind of like the easiest to get working.
This
Large
is not
display.
this is not a comment or a question. It's just I call these hug reports. Circuit Playground is awesome learning prototype board. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good tools for reverse engineering. You just did this. What was that tool?
Watch the videos that I
Yeah.
just did. It's called Reverse Engineering ARM Binaries.
Yeah, Google for Scanlime's video.
She's
Channel,
Scanline's
yeah.
doing reverse engineering. I'm going to
Yep.
do more about the Q-Touch reverse engineering this week. I got to
Okay.
wrap that up and do more videos.
Favorite proximity sensor.
Favorite. I like the VL53 locks. It's in the store. It's amazing.
All right.
I mean, it's so precise and so fast.
If someone cuts about 5 inches of the 144 strip and they reconnect them, but the next layer doesn't seem to work, any suggestions?
Yeah. Watch, like, look for shorts, maybe ground, power, shorted.
Okay, last question. What's the best way to solder OLED flat flex cable in for bulk runs of boards, or am I better off trying to source an SMT connector that will match?
There's no real SMT connector that matches unless if you're getting like the cheap ones. I use a wide flat tip on my Metcal. You put a little paste on and then you kind of wipe it all at once and it'll
Okay.
solder all the pins at the same
Okay,
time.
this is really the last one. Ada Logger Feather states RCC isn't accurate because it does do temp compensation, but the datasheet states it can. Can I use a BME208?
Well, so it doesn't do temperature compensation unless you ask it to do temperature compensation, and so you'd have to get a temperature sensor. It's a lot of work because you'll have to, constantly be reading the temperature and then tweaking the temperature compensation register, and like subtracting like milliseconds here and there. You can do it if you really need a temperature compensated RTC. Just get the temperature compensated RTC Featherwing because we
Okay.
have one. It's the DS3231 does it, and it does it very well.
That was the questions. Woo, speed round. All right, Lady Ada, we're going to give something away. What do you want to give away this week?
I thought we would give away a Pi fan
A Pi fan. Okay.
because those are so handy.
What are the rules of trivia question?
If you've won before, you can't win again. Only one winner per my lifetime. So if you've won something, sit on your hands and let other people win a fabulous fan.
Okay. All right, here's the trivia question. Ready?
Yes.
Happy birthday, person. This person's known for probably doing so much in science until the Inquisition happened.
Okay.
Who is this person?
Ooh,
Yeah.
photo quiz.
Photo quiz. I'll give some other hints.
Was this in your?
I'll give some other hints.
Okay.
Contributions to science, motion, astronomy, strength of materials, and development of the scientific method. Let's see. Written form of method. Oh, tackle the world, Galileo. Congratulations, it was Galileo. Happy birthday, Galileo, born in February 1564. Died in 1642. Not a bad run. Happy birthday, Galileo Galilei.
Yay.
So, person who won, congratulations, tackle the world. Email support@adafruit.com and tell them that you won PID.
Is it 3368?
Yep. Email support@adafruit.com. tell them PID 3368. That'll get it to you. You get a fan. Yay! Fan.
Yay! You
All right.
will have a small fan,
All right.
but it's very handy.
Congratulations.
You can make glasses that really like make your eyes hurt.
That is our show for the night, everyone. Thank you so much. Don't forget, code is valid all the way up to 11:59 p.m. We'll see you next week on Ask an Engineer. We'll have all sorts of news we regurgitate from now until next week.
Yeah.
Until it comes out and I eat it again. Like MOSFET does that when he
The
throws
cat
up.
does.
He throws up his cat food and then he eats it. I think it must taste better.
It's warm.
Already.
I don't know.
Already chewed food, brand cat food.
You know, we have to give him dry food. The
Yeah.
vet's like, you have to give him dry food because it's better for him.
Yeah.
But he doesn't like it. He really would prefer
Yeah.
wet food, so this is maybe his
Yep.
compromise.
Okay.
Gross.
One more Sparky before we go. Nah, that's a cat photo. Meow. And that is it for the night. Here is your moment of Zener. And to play us out tonight, if you stick around while we're cleaning up on our way out, I'm going to play the interview you did with the president from 4 years ago. Because I got it. Here we go. Say goodbye, Lady Ada.
Goodbye.
This is from 2013.
Fellow Americans,
This isn't real right now.
I seek to look beyond the doors of the White House into the hopes and fears of men and women in their homes. Our capacity is limited only by our ability to work together. I am determined to do my share. Now, it is your turn.
This is a new tradition we've established with the president, a fireside hangout. This is actually the fourth year in a row that we've had the chance to sit down with the president after a State of the Union speech to hear his answers to your questions, both on YouTube and here on Google+. We also have Limor Fried. Limor is an entrepreneur and CEO of Adafruit, an electronics manufacturing education company in New York City.
Hi, Mr. President.
How are you?
On the topic of legislation, I'm an entrepreneur, and high-tech startups are an important engine of the American economy. When I go around and talk to other entrepreneurs, what I hear is they're worried that if they become successful, they're going to be targeted by software patent trolls. These are firms that collect software patents just for the purpose of litigation and getting money out of small companies that can't afford patent defense. It's very expensive. So I know you've made a lot of progress on patent reform, but I'm wondering, what are you planning to do to limit the abuses of software patents? For example, would you be supportive of limiting software patents to only 5 years long?
Well, I think it's a great question, and you're right. A couple of years ago, we began a process of patent reform. We actually passed some legislation that made progress on some of these issues, but it hasn't captured all the problems. And the folks that you're talking about are a classic example. They don't actually produce anything themselves. They're just trying to essentially leverage and hijack somebody else's idea and see if they can extort some money out of them. And sometimes these things are challenging because we also want to make sure that the patents are long enough, that people's intellectual property is protected. We've got to balance that with making sure that they're not so long that innovation is reduced. But I do think that our efforts at patent reform only went about halfway to where we need to go. And what we need to do is pull together additional stakeholders and see if we can build some additional consensus on some smarter patent laws. This is true, by the way, across the board when it comes to high-tech issues. The technology is changing so fast. We want to protect privacy. We want to protect people's civil liberties. We want to make sure the internet stays open. And I'm an ardent believer that what's powerful about the internet is its openness and the capacity for people to get out there and just introduce a new idea with low barriers to entry. We also want to make sure that people's intellectual property is protected, and whether it's how we're dealing with copyright, how we're dealing with patents, how we're dealing with piracy issues. What we've tried to do is to be an honest broker between the various stakeholders and to continue to refine it, hopefully keeping up with the technology, which doesn't mean that there aren't occasionally going to be some problems that we still haven't identified and we have to keep on working on.
Mr. President, let's switch gears for a moment. We wanted to have everyone get the chance to ask you a more personal question during the hangout, and let's start with Limor and Lee.
Hi, thanks. Mr. President, Have your daughters expressed any interest in pursuing a career in science or engineering?
You know, they're doing really well in science and math so far, and that's encouraging, that they actually like it, and they have fun doing it. Malia just turned 14, Sasha's 11. I don't think they're yet at the age where they've kind of determined what their career path is going to be. And what Michelle and I try to encourage is just saying, you know, math and science is part of your overall educational experience. We don't want you intimidated by it. We want you to continue to pursue it so that your options remain open as you get older. But one of the things that I really strongly believe in is that we need to have more girls interested in math, science, and engineering. We've got half the population that is way underrepresented in those fields, and that means we've got a whole bunch of talent that downstream is not being encouraged the way they need to. And so the White House Office of Women and Girls has been partnering with the Department of Education so that our STEM education agenda, trying to get more math and science and technology education in the schools, also focuses on making sure underrepresented groups like girls are encouraged in these fields.
Mr. President, I want to shift now to the topic of education, something you spent a lot of your State of the Union speech talking about. And let's go back to Lemoore in New York City.
Thanks. On Tuesday, you challenged American high schools to better equip graduates for the demands of a high-tech economy. Yeah. When I attended high school, I had to take a foreign language requirement. So my question is, can we make it a national effort to also add a computer programming language requirement?
I think it makes sense. I really do. And you know, part of what I'm trying to do here is to make sure that we're working with high schools and school districts all across the country to make the high school experience relevant for young people, not all of whom are going to get a 4-year college degree or an advanced degree. And you know, I think that the concept of vocational education got a bad rap at a certain point because the perception was, well, you know, we're tracking folks into you know, blue-collar jobs, and then you know, we're reserving white-collar jobs for a certain group. All those categories, I think, have eroded. So, you know, you look at somebody like Mark Zuckerberg. I was sitting next to him at dinner a couple of years ago, and he basically said, you know, he taught himself programming, primarily because he was interested in games. And there are a whole bunch of young people out there, I suspect, who, if in high school, are given the opportunity to figure out, here's how you can design your own games. But it requires you to know math, it requires you to know science, or you know, here's what a career in graphic design looks like, and we're going to start setting those you know, programs in our high schools, not waiting till a community college, and then you can apprentice with somebody who's already a graphic designer in your area. What it does not only is to prepare young people who may choose not to go to a 4-year college to be job ready, but it also engages kids because they feel like, I get this. This is not just me sitting there slouching in the back of the room while somebody's lecturing. And I think given how pervasive computers and the internet is now, and how integral it is into our economy, and how fascinated kids are with it, I want to make sure that they know how to actually produce stuff using computers and not simply consume stuff. I had a great time, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. And so when you press it down, it makes good contact with the pads underneath, and that's how we design the testers, so that you don't have to permanently attach it, you just kind of push it down, and it goes through the test procedure. And once in a while, we have to do rework, and rework is the repair part. We'll analyze, does it make sense, like how much time we're spending with certain components. We try as much as possible to fix it so we don't have more stuff going into landfill. So Vance uses tools like the hot air gun, which is extremely hot, so be careful, and can heat up the parts like a little mini hot air oven area, and push the part in or push it around to get it to make good contact. So right now he's going through a reject collection and fixing them. So.